Hey yo, how you doing? This is 4G Ghana back again. Arsenal transfer business getting hotter and hotter. I'd like to thank all of you Arsenal fans out there. Thank you for the massive support you're giving this channel. If you're new to this channel, please take a moment to subscribe, like and comment so we can grow this channel together. Now, right off again, I'd like to give a big ups to our captain, Martin Odegaard. What a player. He's been voted as the Arsenal Football Club Player of the Season by the fans. He got 33% of the vote. Number 2 was Declan Rice, who got 24% of the votes. And Saliba, the defender who played all games in the Premier League for Arsenal Football Club this season, was third at 20%. Now, in my opinion, any of these 3 players could have rightfully won Arsenal's Player of the Season. But Odegaard winning it for the second year in a row is still fantastic because this guy has been absolutely phenomenal for Arsenal Football Club. The way he wears that shirt as the captain, he leads by example. He presses so hard. This guy runs the most kilometers per match of any player in Arsenal Football Club, whether we are playing in the Champions League or in the Premier League or in the FA Cup. He's the one leading that pressing. He's the one pulling other players forward and giving other players instructions. He controls the team from the front. This guy has been phenomenal. And just to imagine that he only came to Arsenal Football Club for £35 million. What a steal. What a steal. Can you find a player who can play at that level with those qualities for that price right now? I'm sure his price right now in the market is upwards of 80 to 100 million pounds. That's how good this player is. And big ups to Odegaard. And long may he continue to play for Arsenal Football Club. Now, a glaring omission in that top 3 is Gabriel Magalhaes. This guy was massive, a rock in our defense. How many headers did Gabriel score this season for Arsenal Football Club? How immense was he in that defense alongside Saliba? I believe personally he should have made top 3 because he was phenomenal for us. And of course, other players who could have made this top 3 are the likes of Saka, Havertz, and White. All have been phenomenal for us this season. You know, we've had so many players linked to Arsenal Football Club in this transfer window. It's like every club out there or any agent that wants to sell a player always connects them with Arsenal Football Club in order to raise their market value. And Arsenal fans and pundits alike have been trying to second guess Arteta and Edu and try to figure out which of these numerous players they're linked with is potentially going to end up signing for Arsenal Football Club. Now, some have said that generally Arteta tends to sign players who are proven, players from the Premier League. But is that the case? Looking at Arteta's signings in recent times, we've had players from the Premier League, yes, the likes of Declan Rice, Kai Havertz, Ben White, Gabriel Jesus, Zinchenko, all this from the Premier League. But equally, we've also had lots of players who've come from outside the Premier League, the likes of Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, Jurrien Timber, Fabio Vieira, Gabriel Magalhaes, Jacob Kiwior, Takehiro Tomiyasu, just to name a few. So really, under Arteta, the signings have almost been 50-50, you know, some from the Premier League, some from abroad. So you cannot really use that as a rule to say that if 2 players are linked to Arsenal Football Club in the same position, then it's likely to favor players who are from the Premier League above players who are from abroad. Arsenal fans everywhere asking themselves, is this going to be the dream transfer window when we finally put the crowning on the jewels that we already have at the football club? When we finally get players who can actually take this club to that next level, where we are winning trophies on a regular, where we can finally surmount this juggernaut called Manchester City and win the Premier League, where we can also now compete convincingly in the Champions League and go toe-to-toe with the best teams in Europe, the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, PSG, Barcelona, and come away with at least a place in the final, if not lift the thing. Now, Arsenal's top target in the recent weeks has been Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. Of course, we know Sesko is a very exciting forward, scored 18 goals this season and offered about 3 assists in that league. He's a very, very good striker. So this one is one to watch. And of course, other striking targets, the likes of Victor Gyokeres from Portugal. This player has scored more than 40 goals this season. A very exciting forward, one that I personally prefer Arsenal to sign. We've also been linked with Victor Osimhen from Napoli, top level forward, mentioned to be among the best top 5 strikers in the world. Are we going to have the funds to sign this player with a massive release clause of about 100 to 120 million pounds? The other striker we are linked with, of course, is Alexander Isak from Newcastle, whom we've not had any indication that Newcastle are about to let go. But another striker who could be of interest to Arsenal Football Club is Dominic Solanke of Bournemouth. You know, hit about 19 goals last season, about 3 assists, a very top level striker in terms of having scored that many goals in a club like Bournemouth. You can imagine what will happen if he's placed in a club that actually scores very many goals like Arsenal Football Club. So this is one that you can actually compare and say between Benjamin Solanke and Sesko, Who's the better striker here, you know? Solanke, of course, is 26 years old. Sesko is younger at 21. But stats-wise, Dominic Solanke and Sesko, they compare very well. So it's up to Arsenal Football Club to decide whether they want to invest in a 26-year-old who's already Premier League proven, who doesn't need to come and adapt, or they're going to go for Sesko, who potentially has a higher ceiling in terms of the level of growth and development he can achieve with this football club. Then we've got the wingers. Of course, we are still being linked with Victor Tsygankov, who plays with Granada in Spain. Now, this one is exciting because he potentially ticks all the boxes. He's not very expensive at £26 million. That's very affordable. And he can come in and be the understudy to Saka. He's potentially not a player who's going to come and bang the door to be a starter. So this one is one to watch. And I think it could be one of those that boils and gets done even before the Euros. Of course, we've seen a lot of attacking players linked with Arsenal in that attacking midfield or left or right wing position. And we've had players like Nico Williams, Désiré Doué linked with Arsenal Football Club, and exciting players like Yohan Bakayoko. But the big one that I've seen lately is Eze. Eze is not a winger per se, he's more of an attacking midfielder, number 10 sort of position, but he can also play on the wing sometimes. He's got such exciting skills in his locker. This is the kind of player who can glide past players. And this is what actually convinced Southgate to take him to the Euro, because he said he's got that ability to ghost past players in that midfield position and to make things happen on his own. Now, Arsenal Football Club, are they going to go in for Eze? This is one that I've seen Arsenal fans discussing hotly online. Should Arsenal go for Eze, Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace? Let me hear from you in the comment section. He'll cost about £60 million. That is his release clause. Of course, with add-ons, bringing it up to about £68 million. He can come in and play in that sort of left number 8. He can also cover on the wings when needed. So he's a very versatile player. Do you think he's the kind of player who can come in and do a job? Only 25 years old, Eberechi Eze was actually in the Arsenal Football Academy. He got released by Arsenal Football Club at 13 years. And he spoke quite recently of the amount of heartache he had to endure. He said, my dream was to play for Arsenal Football Club. When they released me at 13, I cried myself out. You know, this is a player who actually loves Arsenal Football Club. And I like players like that. Players who have a passion for the club, who will play for the badge. He can become a fan favorite because he's got all these dribbling skills. He lights up the game. He makes things happen. When teams are laying a low block on Arsenal and there's no space, and normally Arsenal are passing it left, right, you can see Eberechi Eze just taking it on and saying, let me take it forward, and gliding past players and making things happen and potentially setting up a player or scoring one of those screamers that we see him shooting week after week for Crystal Palace. This one excites me. I believe Arsenal should be going in and at least trying to get Eberechi Eze. The only other dampener will be his injury record, but I believe at Arsenal Football Club, he will have other players competing for the same position, and he will have plenty of cover anytime he's laid off because of injury. So please, let me know. Do you think we should sign this player? Another player we are linked with in midfield, of course, is Joao Neves. This young player, 19-year-old, who plays for Benfica there in Portugal. Exciting player. He can make those dazzling attacking runs. He can dribble past players. He is also very good defensively, but of course very costly, coming at about £102 million. So it won't be easy to get this deal done, but from what I'm seeing online, Edu and Arteta are very interested in this young player. And the other midfield player we're targeting is Youssef Fofana from Monaco. This one we've spoken about before. Arsenal are said to be interested. His release clause will potentially be lower than all the others, rumored to be about 20-something, £30 million thereabouts, which will be very, very good for a player of such quality. He could come in and be a perfect replacement for Partey. Of course, he's got more athleticism, more dynamism, and he's a player who's really tidy, very tidy on the ball, and he could do a job for us in that midfield. So I believe this is one also that we should be keeping an eye on as the transfer window progresses. Now, Arsenal have also been connected with Amadou Onana of Everton, but the latest is that Arsenal Football Club are no longer interested in Amadou Onana because he does not fit the profile of what Arteta wants to do in that position. So it looks like that could be the end of Arsenal's links to Amadou Onana, and other clubs, of course, will come in for him because he is a very good midfielder. He's a very good midfielder, and he can do a job for lots of other clubs in the Premier League. In that defensive position, it's rumored that Arsenal want to buy a defensive player who's left-sided. So a left-sided defensive player who could potentially cover Saliba and who can also play in that left-back position. And the players who've been mentioned are Jorrel Hato, who plays for Ajax, of course, 18-year-old, a very young player with a very good profile. He's got a very good eye for a pass. He's able to dribble from defense, and he's also able to join the attack. He's got that kind of combination. So he's a very good player who could potentially cover Saliba or also play in that left side profile. We also have the likes of Jarrad Branthwaite from Everton, who's being heavily linked with Manchester United, but we're also being told that Arsenal are potentially interested. So how does Arsenal's calendar look this summer? You know, us Arsenal fans were spoiled because Arsenal normally does its business quite early and we get the players in and that settles the nerves. We're able to relax and watch them go to pre-season training while we watch other clubs trying to stumble about in the transfer market, while we watch our players bedding and bonding, and we know we are ready. We have that head start in the coming season. But it's not guaranteed that this time round is going to be the same. Of course, we know how the calendar is looking. The Euros are kicking off on Friday, 14th of June, and there are 11 Arsenal players who are going to play for their nations in the Euro. And of course, the summer transfer window opens the same day on 14th of June. Now, the Copa America starts on 21st of June, which is about a week later. And we know there are also Arsenal players likes of Gabriel and others who are involved in that tournament. Now, both tournaments end on 14th of July. They will have a break. And then Arsenal players go back to camp and start preparing for pre-season earnest. We have a pre-season tour to US, similar to what we did last year. We're going to play Manchester United in LA on 27th of July. And then we are playing Liverpool on 31st of July. So we're hoping that by then, we will have bagged some of these players coming into the team. But Arsenal Football Club are not just going to sign any players for the sake of signing them and getting them through the door. They're going to try and improve quality. Players who will raise the ceiling of this team in terms of performance. Potentially bring in a reliable striker. You know, a player who can mirror what Trossard has been doing, scoring clutch goals in moments when Arsenal are pressed to score, who can come in and hit that goal and win games for Arsenal Football Club. Now, I say that Arsenal prefer that player to be in the striker position, but also they will not hesitate to sign a forward attacking player who can play on the left, on the right, but who has got guaranteed goals. Now, players like Rashford come in that frame. You know, players like Rafael Leao, he has not been mentioned a lot with Arsenal Football Club, but I believe Rafael Leao or Rashford can offer that stardust attacking profile in those forward positions. So lots of exciting news coming through for Arsenal Football Club. We will be here to update you whenever we hear any interesting news or anything solid coming through as far as the transfer window is concerned. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please take a moment to subscribe, hit the bell button, like this video if you got value out of it, and leave a comment right there. Let us know which player you'd prefer for Arsenal Football Club to sign this summer. Have a good time. God bless you. Adios. Bye-bye.